open again. We'll blow that out and full screen it. The next segment that we're dealing with is the clinical exam. It's broken down into 4 segments: external, anterior, retina, and neuro segments. The segments each can be expanded and minimized if you need any of the extra data down below. Anything that's changed here is converted from tan to blue once saved to the server, so you know that it's automatically been saved. If we refresh this page, we'll go back to tan, but this was repulled from the server, so we know that it's being stored in the server. The database quick picks function described earlier can be utilized on each screen individually, or you can show all of them at once by clicking the DB Picks button. You can do drawing as well, and this is an HTML5 program. And you pick the color, pick the size of the pen, put the lesions in there, whatever you want to draw. Let's throw in a little bit of black, maybe put a little bigger, and maybe some brown. You get the idea. The functionality is directly proportionate to the artistic ability of the user, in my opinion. So we'll go back to text, and we can do that for each of these. By the way, the drawing program, we can switch completely to draw, and that gives us the examination and all of the images that would be stored for this user. If you're a retina person and you wanted to draw, draw in your drawing, maybe there's a little bit of a macroaneurysm leakage here. You can put that in there, and maybe throw a nevus in over here. And then you can draw your cup to disc as well. If your device, will probably need a little smaller there. Put a little notch up above. From a user standpoint, each time you click down, the image is stored. If we refresh this page and look again, you'll notice that it wasn't saved, and that's not supposed to happen. Let's see if it did get saved. It's just the server was lagging behind. Yeah, there we go. It was saved. That was a little too quick. Happening in the background, every time you lift up the pen, the server's being contacted and updated. Let's go back to the text version of this. Take a look again. We have these filled in, but say for instance it was blank. It was a new patient, new visit. We can go to the defaults. Everything that is green, light green, is a default value. Anything that was already present in those fields is erased. Fields that don't have defaults, like the Hertel, will not be overwritten. The last feature I want to show you is the last feature for the clinical part is this quick pick function for the priors. So these are all the prior examinations. Let's take a look at this exam, and what happens when we select that is the prior examination for each segment shows up. And this is on the visit 1231, and this is what it looked like. And these values are disabled. They're grayed out. You can't do anything about them. But if you wanted to copy them, you could copy them over individually, section by section, or you could copy the complete exam over. So if there's only a certain number of changes, we copy all the values. Notice that the brow ptosis is now disappeared, whereas in the visit today it wasn't. Well, now in the visit today it's gone. No brow ptosis. Let's put something back in there again. 2 centimeters brow ptosis stored to the server. Now if we go back, let's go forward and backwards again to today's visit. Again, it's populated with the correct value. If we, and notice there's no option to copy that over, but if we go down a visit, the copy appears, we click on that, and that will take all of this data that's on this side and populate over here. Anything that's new and changed, anything that was in here that's different from in here turns purple. Again, it only affects areas that have defaults. The Hertel doesn't, vertical fissure doesn't. Those need to be added on each visit if you're going to do it. But that's the prior function. Either you copy the whole thing or you copy one little segment of it. Go back to text, just because it's easier to look at compared to this one, which is the draw. Text versions have a database function or connectivity to an image document database. If we wanted to upload a photo, we'd do that. It would open the EMR document upload section. This is for reports. It's not generated yet, and this is for the images. If we want to look at those images, we will click, a new window will open. And it opens a CSS jQuery JavaScript program called Anything Slider. Now, I'm pulling these off of the database, which is remote and cloud based. So moving images across the internet can take some time, depending on how big they are. And that's one of the limitations if you don't have the server in-house and you're doing it hosted elsewhere. So what this shows is the patient is Jim Sullivan, and that's his picture. If there is one updated in the system, it will be updated and shown here. That's his patient ID number. There's no external images. There are anterior segment images, posterior. We're on the neuro segment, other, and then it goes back to the exam. So let's just take a look at other, what things are there. All the segments that openEMR has will become available here. So again, we're going back to the server, and we're dealing with internet connectivity. So there are drawings. There's a patient photograph. We can show just simply the photograph. The drawings that are there for this and all previous encounters can be visualized through the system as well. Let's pull them all up again. So this was some rudimentary drawing. And you can, if you want, scroll through these one by one. So rudimentarily, you can follow images over time. And that's an image that was added as well. So it doesn't have to be the images that you see here. It's things that are in the miscellaneous or drawing segment. What do we have? In neuro, the neuro one may have some files stored in it that are PDFs, and they're large and can take some time to download as well. Again, we're dealing with a remote database and file server, so they're being served off of the web. Let's go back to Jim Sullivan, and the original window will open the new one again for here then, and show you the menu. This will bring you back to openEMR. This is a concept that I'd like to see adopted elsewhere, and I'm going to need the help of openEMR developers to make this a reality. But this is a jQuery mobile menu system, and right now it's only active to this form. You select HPI, we'll go to that. If you want to see the draw versions, it'll do that. If you want to display the quick picks functionality, you can choose that through here. There are also shortcut key commands that are built in that will get you to each of these functions as well if you prefer to use the keyboard rather than the mouse. But each of these segments ideally is going to mirror the left menu in the frame version of openEMR. And notice that these are similar, if not identical, to fields that the creators of openEMR have decided should go in this menu. We can transfer that if those links are easy to get to, and the folks who know openEMR backwards can probably do this in their sleep. I'd appreciate your help. So we can populate the menu and increase the functionality of this feature. This is the physician that is seeing Jim Sullivan today. So openEMR ophthalmology has a lot of functionality that you should consider. If you're a developer, we'd welcome any help that you can give to us to make this work better. For instance, in this section, motility, we only have horizontal and vertical. The pediatric strabismus folks like to have the horizontal line filled in. And right now we can't select those. We can only do it in these two planes. The orthophoric, yes or no. Alternate cover testing. The alternate cover testing is separate for each. So without correction at distance, with correction near, these are all separate. And if you look at the priors for the alternate cover testing, you'll also be able to follow over time, scrolling through them, what kind of change there's been in their strabismus. So this would be from all the prior visits, whatever the alternate cover testing is for, say, November 19th. If there was any strabismus, there's a movement abnormality there. And there's nothing documented in alternate cover testing. But if there were, you can compare it to what you see today. And if you want, you can carry that forward. If we click that, we'll carry forward all the motility problems that were there and the other measurements that were created, whether it be color, red desat, coins, or near point of accommodation or convergence, etc., will be automatically populated on this side. The impression plan is straightforward. There's no logic to it. This is reserved for helper applications for suggestions for coding and diagnostic criteria, and for building problem-specific impression plans. At least that's what we have planned for the future. Finalize down here, this will finalize it according to openEMR standards. I need help developing this portion as well. Need to e-sign it and lock the document. Also, when that happens, the images which are stored for the patient need to be cleaned up. Every time you add something and drop an extra image, it's sent to the server and stored sequentially. So ultimately, you'll be able to go back through and do an undo feature, so you can undo any errors you may have made on your drawing. Each of those undos needs to be erased, and the final image, which this is, for this patient, would then be the only image that's saved in the database. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope it gives you food for thought, and when the time comes, if you have an idea, something that can help us build this and extend it, or if there's a need to take a section, say even this section, feel free to copy it and incorporate it into your own